Commander Park Jin-woo walked slowly through the quiet halls of Earth's Deep Space Command Center. The building was huge and filled with the soft hum of computers working day and night. Giant screens covered the walls, showing stars and planets from across the galaxy. It was 3 in the morning, and most people had gone home to sleep. Park Jin-woo could not sleep. Something had been bothering him for days. A strange signal kept appearing on their deep space monitors. It came from far away, from a place called the Andromeda Sector. The signal was weak, but it never stopped. Just kept repeating the same message over and over again. "Sir, you should go home and rest," said Lieutenant Kim Nari as she approached him. She was young and smart, one of the best computer experts on Earth. She had been working on the strange signal for 3 days, without stopping. "Have you figured out what it says?" Park Jin-woo asked, pointing at the screen where the signal appeared. As waves of light, Kim Nari shook her head. "The language is very old. Our computers cannot understand it, but I think I am getting close. The patterns are starting to make sense." Park Jin-woo had been in the military for 20 years. He had seen many strange things since humans first learned to travel faster than light. Earth had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. Before that, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Now they knew there were hundreds of different alien species living among the stars. Most of these aliens were much older and smarter than humans. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Some had technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. But they all had one thing in common. They were afraid of the Andromeda Sector. "Sir, I think I have something," Kim Nari said suddenly. Her fingers moved quickly across her computer. "The translation program is showing words now. Look at this." Park Jin-woo moved closer to the screen. Slowly, words appeared in simple English. "We are the last. They come in endless waves. If anyone receives this, remember us." The room became very quiet. Park Jin-woo felt cold inside. "How old is this message?" "The computer says it could be thousands of years old," Kim Nari replied. "Maybe even older." "Sir, there is something else. The signal is not just a recording. It is responding to our scans. Something is still alive out there." The next morning, Park Jin-woo called a meeting with the other commanders. Captain Lee Dongmin came from the diplomatic office. He was the person who talked to aliens from other worlds. General Lim Jae-soon came from the military planning department. Dr. Han Myung came from the science division. "We need to talk about the signal from Andromeda Sector," Park Jin-woo began. He showed them the translated message on the big screen. Captain Lee Dongmin shook his head right away. "The Galactic Council will never allow it. That sector has been forbidden for as long as anyone can remember. I've heard stories about it from the older alien races. They call it the Dead Zone." "What kind of stories?" asked Dr. Han Myung. "Ships that go there never come back," Captain Lee explained. "Not just human ships, alien ships too. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy have sent their best explorers there. None ever returned. The Council made a rule long ago. No one goes to Andromeda Sector." General Lim Jae-soon looked at the message again. "But someone is calling for help. We cannot just ignore this." "No. The aliens have been ignoring it for thousands of years," Captain Lee said. "Why should we be different?" Park Jin-woo stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the city where millions of people lived their normal lives. They went to work, played with their children, and dreamed about the future. They did not know that somewhere in the darkness of space, someone was crying for help. "Because we are human," Park Jin-woo said finally. "When someone calls for help, we answer. It is what makes us different from the others." Dr. Han Myung looked excited. "I have been studying the signal. The technology is very advanced, but it is also very old. Whatever sent this message had knowledge that even our alien friends do not have. That makes it even more dangerous," Captain Lee warned. "If something destroyed a civilization that advanced, what chance do we have?" "Maybe none," Park Jin-woo admitted, "but we have to try. I am putting together a small fleet. We'll go to Andromeda Sector and find out what happened there." Captain Lee looked worried. "The Council will be very angry. They might even kick Earth out of the galactic community. Then we go without telling them," Park Jin-woo said. "Sometimes you have to do what is right, even when others tell you it is wrong. That night, Park Jin-woo looked up at the stars from his apartment window. Somewhere out there, in the darkness between galaxies, someone was still calling for help. Tomorrow, he would gather his best people and begin the journey to answer that call. He did not know that this decision would change everything. He did not know that Earth's answer to this ancient cry for help would shake the entire galaxy. Captain Choi Min-ho stood on the bridge of his ship, the Soul's Pride, watching the stars change as they came out of hyperspace. He had been traveling through space for many years, but he had never seen anything like this before. His hands shook a little as he looked at the view screen. "Captain, are you seeing this?" asked Navigator Song Haijin, her voice full of fear and wonder. In front of them was the strangest sight in the galaxy. Thousands of spaceships floated in the darkness, all arranged in perfect circles around a dead planet. The ships were all different sizes and shapes. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. Many had strange curves and angles that hurt to look at. "Those ships are from different worlds," said Dr. Yoon Tae-young, the science officer. "I can see at least 20 different types of technology. Some of these designs are completely unknown to us." Captain Choi walked closer to the screen. "But why are they arranged like this?" "It looks like they were protecting something. They were protecting the planet," Song Hae-jin said quietly. "Look at how they are positioned. This was a battle formation. They were making their last stand." The human fleet moved slowly through the graveyard of ships. Each vessel they passed told a story of desperate fighting. Holes from energy weapons covered the hulls. Some ships were broken in half. Others had crashed into each other during the battle. "How long have they been here?" Captain Choi asked. "The computer says some of these ships are over 10,000 years old," Dr. Yoon replied. "But others are much newer. It's maybe only a few hundred years old. People have been coming here and dying here for a very long time." Captain Choi felt cold. "Inside, send a message back to Earth. Tell them what we found. Then prepare a landing team. We need to go down to that planet." The planet below was gray and lifeless. Once, it might have been beautiful, with blue oceans and green forests. Now, it was nothing but dust and rocks. The landing team took a small shuttle down to the surface. Dr. Yoon Tae-young led the way across the empty ground. His scanner beeped. "As they walked, I am reading something underground. There are large structures beneath us. We found an entrance hidden under fallen rocks. Inside, long tunnels led deep into the planet. The walls were covered with strange writing that glowed. With soft light, emergency lights still worked after thousands of years. "This technology is incredible," Dr. Yoon whispered. "These people were much more advanced than any civilization we know." They walked for an hour through the tunnels. Finally, they reached a huge underground room. In the center was a tall pillar made of crystal. When they got close, the crystal began to glow brighter. Suddenly, the air filled with images. Holographic pictures showed the history of this place. Dr. Yoon quickly set up his translation computer to understand the alien language. "They called themselves the Keth Mori," Dr. Yoon said as he read the flowing text. "They were the peacekeepers of the galaxy. For millions of years, they protected other civilizations from danger." The pictures showed the Keth Mori in their golden age. They were tall and graceful, with 4 arms and large eyes. Their cities were beautiful, full of art and learning. They traveled between stars, helping other races solve their problems. But then something came. Dr. Yoon continued reading. Something from outside the galaxy. They called them the Devourers. The holographic images changed. Now they showed horrible creatures that looked like giant insects mixed with machines. They moved in huge swarms across space, eating everything in their path. Planets, stars, and tire. Solar systems disappeared into their hungry mouths. The Devourers consumed everything, Dr. Yoon read. They learned from every world they destroyed. Every weapon used against them made them stronger. They adapted to any attack within minutes. The pictures showed the final battle. The Kethmori had gathered here with ships from many other civilizations. They knew they could not win, but they fought anyway. They bought time for other races to escape deeper into the galaxy. The message we received Captain Choi said suddenly. It was their final transmission. Dr. Yoon nodded. They sent it hoping someone would remember them. But there's more. The Devourers did not die. They went to sleep, waiting for signs of life to return. Hyjin looked scared. What woke them up? Before anyone could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the underground chamber. Red lights flashed on the walls. The crystal pillar pulsed with urgent light. The beacon, Dr. Yoon said, his face pale. Our presence here activated an ancient warning beacon. It is sending a signal across space. To who? Captain Choi asked, but he already knew the answer. To the Devourers, Dr. Yoon whispered. We just told them that life has returned to this sector. Far above them, in the cold darkness of space, something began to stir. The Devourers had been sleeping for thousands of years, waiting for this moment. Now they were waking up hungry and ready to feed once again. The graveyard of civilizations was about to claim new victims. Captain Choi Minho ran through the tunnels as fast as he could. Behind him, Dr. Yoon Tae-young and Navigator Song Hai-jin followed, their feet echoing. In the empty halls, the red warning lights flashed faster now, and a loud sound filled the air like a scream. The beacon is getting stronger, Dr. Yoon shouted over the noise. We need to get back to the ship right now. They reached the surface and looked up at the sky. The stars looked different. What had seemed like empty space between the dead ships was now moving. Dark shapes drifted slowly toward them, each one the size of a small moon. Those were not there before, Song Hai-jin said, her voice shaking. Captain Choi grabbed his radio. All ships. This is the captain. Emergency launch. Now. Get off this planet immediately. The shuttle lifted off, just as the first Devourer came into view. It was horrible to look at. Creature was part machine and part living thing, with metal skin that moved like muscle. Hundreds of arms reached out from its body, each one ending in sharp claws. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness. It is huge, Dr. Yoon whispered. Bigger than our biggest battleship. But one Devourer was not the problem. As they watched, more appeared from the darkness. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They moved together like a school of fish, all connected by some invisible force. Captain, we are getting signals from the other ships, Song Hai-jin reported. They want to know what to do. Captain Choi looked at the swarm of creatures surrounding them. Tell all ships to jump to hyperspace immediately. We need to warn Earth. But the Devourers were faster than expected. As the human ships tried to escape, the creatures moved to block their path. Energy beams shot out from their bodies, hitting two of the smaller ships before they could jump away. The Busan and the Daegu were gone, Song Hai-jin said with tears. In her eyes, they just disappeared. Captain Choi watched in horror as the Devourers consumed the destroyed ships. The creatures wrapped their arms around the metal pieces and absorbed them into their bodies. As they ate, they grew larger and stronger. They are learning, Dr. Yoon said quietly. Look at their skin. It is changing color to match our ship designs. Only 3 human ships escaped the graveyard. They jumped through hyperspace as fast as they could, racing back toward Earth. But the Devourers followed them, moving through space in ways that should not be possible. Admiral Kung Soo-jin was drinking coffee in her office when the emergency message arrived. She was an old woman who had fought in many battles, but she had never heard such fear in a soldier's voice. Admiral, this is Captain Choi Minho. The Devourers are real. They are awake, and they are coming. We lost 2 ships trying to escape. These things, they adapt to everything we throw at them. Admiral Kang stood up quickly. How many ships are we talking about? Thousands, maybe millions, Captain Choi replied. And they are heading toward the outer colonies. Admiral, every weapon we used against them stopped working after the first shot. Lasers, missiles, plasma cannons, nothing works twice. The first attacks came 3 days later. The colony world of New Seoul was the closest to the Andromeda sector. The people there had no warning. They just saw the sky fill with dark shapes, and then everything went quiet. When the rescue ships arrived, they found nothing. The entire planet was gone, leaving only empty space where it used to be. 12 million people had simply vanished. How? Is that possible? General MJ soon asked during the emergency meeting. A whole planet cannot just disappear. They ate it, Captain Choi explained. The Devourers consumed everything, the cities, the forests, the oceans, even the rocks. They left nothing behind. The attacks continued. Every day another world went silent. Devourers moved through space like a plague, consuming everything in their path. The great civilizations of the galaxy sent their best fleets to fight them, but nothing worked. The Zephyrians tried their quantum torpedoes. The Devourers absorbed the energy and became stronger. The Crystalline Empire used their most powerful shields. The creatures learned to pass right through them. The Metal Lords sent robot armies that could not feel fear. The Devourers turned. The robots against their creators. They are too smart, reported Captain Lee Dongmin from the Galactic Council. Every civilization is trying the same thing. Bigger weapons, stronger shields, faster ships. But these creatures have been fighting for millions of years. They know how to beat every trick we can think of. Fear spread through the galaxy like a fire. Planets that had been safe for thousands of years suddenly found themselves in the path of the swarm. Refugee ships filled the space lanes as people fled from their homes. On Earth, Admiral Kung Soo-jin looked at the reports coming in from across the galaxy. World after world was falling to the Devourers. The greatest military minds in the galaxy were failing to stop them. We need a new plan, she said to her staff, something they have not seen before. But what could humans do that the older, smarter civilizations could not? Earth had only been part of the galactic community for 5 years. Their technology was primitive compared to the aliens. Their weapons were simple. Their tactics were basic. The Devourers were coming and nothing seemed able to stop them. General Lim Jasun sat alone in his small office, surrounded by books about old wars. While alien commanders across the galaxy tried to build bigger weapons, he was reading about battles that happened hundreds of years ago on Earth. The desk was covered with reports about failed attacks against the Devourers, sir. The council meeting is starting, said his assistant, Lieutenant Park Soyam. She looked tired. Everyone looked tired these days. Tell them I will be there in a moment, General Lim replied. He was looking at pictures of an old Earth battle where soldiers on horses defeated an army with better weapons. Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways. In the meeting room, holographic displays showed the terrible truth. Another 12 worlds had fallen to the Devourers in just 1 week. The creatures were moving faster now, learning from every battle they fought. The Galactic Defense Force lost another fleet yesterday, reported Admiral Kong Soo-jin. They used their newest plasma cannons. The Devourers absorbed the energy and became immune to plasma attacks within minutes. Captain Choi Minho, who had escaped from the graveyard, shook his head. Every alien race is doing the same thing. They see the Devourers adapt to their weapons, so they try to build better weapons, but it does not work. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Han Myung, the scientist. The Devourers are like students taking a test, Captain Choi explained. Every time we attack them, they learn the answer. Then they know how to defend against that attack forever. We are teaching them how to beat us. General Lim stood up slowly. What if we do not let them learn? Everyone looked at him, sir, asked Lieutenant Park So-young. The Devourers need time to study our attacks and figure out how to stop them, General Lim said. Dr. Han, how long does it take them to adapt? Dr. Han looked at her notes. From what we have seen, about 10 to 15 minutes for simple weapons, and maybe an hour for very complex technology. General Lim smiled for the first time in weeks. Then, we do not give them time to learn. We attack them with something different every few minutes. Admiral Kang frowned. But sir, we do not have that many different weapons. Yes, we do, General Lim replied. We just have to think differently. Captain Osubin, I want you to prepare a special fleet, but do not use our newest weapons. Use the old ones. Captain Osubin looked confused. Sir, our old weapons are much weaker than alien technology. Exactly, General Lim said. The Devourers have been fighting advanced civilizations for millions of years. You know how to beat energy weapons, plasma cannons, and quantum torpedoes. but they have never fought against simple human weapons. 3 days later, Captain Osubin led a small fleet toward a group of devourers near the planet Kepler 442. His ship carried the strangest collection of weapons anyone had ever seen. There were old chemical rockets from Earth's early space program, machine guns that fired simple metal bullets, even some farming equipment that had been changed into weapons. "This is crazy," muttered his weapons officer, Sergeant Kim Do-haen. "We are going to fight space monsters with tools from a farm." "Trust the general," Captain O replied. "He knows what he is doing." The battle began like all the others. The devourers moved toward the human ships, ready to absorb whatever energy weapons came their way. But instead of energy beams, they were hit by simple metal bullets fired from old-fashioned guns. The creatures were surprised. They had never seen such primitive weapons before. Their bodies, which could absorb the most powerful alien energy, were hurt by simple pieces of metal moving very fast. "It is working," shouted Sergeant Kim. "They are not adapting fast enough." But Captain O was already switching weapons. Before the devourers could figure out how to stop bullets, he fired chemical rockets. Before they could adapt to rockets, he used laser pointers, not as weapons, but to confuse their sensors. Then he switched to sonic weapons that made loud noises. The devourers tried to learn. But every time they started to understand one weapon, the humans switched to something completely different. For the first time since the invasion began, the creatures were losing a battle. "All ships, remember the plan," Captain O called over the radio. "Use each weapon for exactly 5 minutes, then switch to something else. Do not let them learn our patterns." The human fleet fought like no one had ever fought before. They used ice cannons that froze their enemies, then switched to flamethrowers that burned them. They fired nets to trap the creatures, then used electric shocks to stun them. Every attack was different from the last. News of the victory spread quickly through the galaxy. For the first time in months, someone had defeated the devourers. But the creatures were learning from this battle too. It would be ready next time. "We won this fight," General Lim told his staff. "But we cannot use the same tricks twice. We need to keep changing our methods faster than they can adapt." Dr. Han Myung looked excited.
Sir?
"I have an idea. What if we use randomness as our weapon? Instead of planning our attacks, we let computers choose our weapons randomly. The devourers cannot predict what we will do if we do not know ourselves." General Lim nodded. "Operation Chaos Storm. We will fight them with controlled confusion." The real war was just beginning. Admiral Park Jin-woo stood in the command center of the largest space station ever built. Around him, holographic displays showed 12 different star systems where battles were happening at the same time. Ships from hundreds of different worlds were fighting together, all following the strange new human way of war. "Admiral, the Altair system reports success," said communications officer Yoon Ji-min. "They used fishing nets and fireworks to defeat 3 devourer scouts." "Good," Admiral Park replied. "Tell them to switch to something completely different for the next attack. Be farming tools or cooking equipment." 6 months had passed since General Lim's first victory. The human strategy of chaos had spread across the galaxy like a virus. Alien commanders who had spent thousands of years learning proper military tactics were now using random weapons and crazy attack patterns. "Sir, incoming message from Captain Choi Minho," Yoon Ji-min reported. "He's ready to begin the final assault." Admiral Park looked at the main screen. Far away, the Devourer command ship floated in space like a dark moon. It was the size of a small planet covered in millions of smaller creatures. This was the brain of the entire swarm. If they could destroy it, the invasion would end. Captain Choi Minho sat on the bridge of the rebuilt Soul's Pride. His ship looked strange now, covered with weapons that did not match. Some were advanced alien technology. Others were simple. Human tools? The mixture made no sense to anyone except humans. "Captain, all fleets are in position," reported his new weapons officer, Lieutenant Bang Shi-hyuk. "We have over 3,000 ships ready to attack." "Remember the plan?" Captain Choi said over the radio to all the ships. "No patterns, no logic, no predictability. Show these creatures what human creativity can do." The battle began with the strangest attack in galactic history. A squadron of alien warships charged forward using medieval night tactics, their energy shields shaped like armor. Behind them, human ships fired water balloons filled with acid. Above them, a group of traders shot commercial advertisements. At the Devourers using their cargo bay speakers, the Devourers tried to adapt, but there was nothing to adapt to. Every few seconds, the attack changed completely. Just when they started to understand one weapon, the humans would switch to something totally different. "The enemy is getting confused," reported Dr. Han Myung from the science ship. "Their adaptation process is overloading. They cannot handle this much randomness." Captain Choi smiled as he watched his weapons randomly cycle through their options. Right now his ship was firing modified kitchen appliances. Would switch to using children's toys as missiles. After that, maybe garden hoses filled with liquid nitrogen. "All ships begin the final push," Admiral Park ordered from the command center. "Target the command ship." The Soul's Pride led the charge toward the massive Devourer brain. Around it, thousands of smaller creatures moved to protect their leader. But the human fleet was ready for them too. "Fire the breakfast special," Captain Choi commanded. His ship launched a mixture of scrambled eggs, orange juice, and highly explosive jam. The attack made no sense, but it worked. The Devourers could not figure out how to defend against weaponized food. As they got closer to the command ship, the attacks became even more random. Some ships used musical instruments as weapons, playing sounds that hurt the creature's ears. Others fired sports equipment, footballs, baseball bats, and golf clubs. Modified with small rockets, the command ship is trying to adapt, Dr. Han reported, but it cannot keep up with the chaos. Captain Choi could see the giant creature ahead of them now. It was ugly and terrifying with millions of eyes and tentacles. But it looked confused, spinning in circles as it tried to understand what was happening. "All weapons, fire everything at once," Captain Choi ordered. The Soul's Pride unleashed its full arsenal. Quantum torpedoes mixed with water balloons. Plasma. Cannons fired alongside slingshots. Energy beams shot out next to streams of paint and glue. The Devourer command ship could not handle the sensory overload. Its brain, which had been controlling millions of creatures across the galaxy, finally broke down. The creature let out a sound like a dying whale and began to collapse. Across the galaxy, smaller Devourers suddenly stopped moving. Without their leader to guide them, they became confused and helpless. Some tried to flee back to the darkness between galaxies. Others simply shut down and floated in space like broken toys. "We did it," Captain Choi whispered, hardly believing. It was true, we actually won. The victory celebration lasted for days. Ships from every world in the galaxy gathered together, their crews laughing and crying with joy. The Devourers, who had seemed unstoppable, were defeated by the newest and most primitive civilization in the galaxy. Admiral Park Jinwoo received messages from leaders across the stars. The proud alien races who had once looked down on humans, as simple and backward, now wanted to learn from them. "How did you know it would work?" asked Ambassador Velthor of the Crystal Empire. During the victory ceremony, Admiral Park smiled. "We did not know. That was the point. Sometimes the best strategy is to have no strategy at all." The galaxy was safe, and humanity had shown everyone that sometimes the newest ideas are the best ideas. The ancient cry for help had been answered, and Earth's chaotic response had shaken the very foundations of how wars were fought. From that day forward, military schools across the galaxy would teach one simple lesson: never underestimate the power of human creativity.